Hello, so on today's video I wanted to give you 5 tips to start loving yourself when you don't believe you can. So myself, I definitely went a lot of my life not loving myself. So to come to a place now where I really do accept and love myself and I can really honor myself and feel good in myself is amazing. Like to have moved from that place to this place, it is a crazy change obviously, and a lot of things to really get me here. So I really just wanted to share some of the tips that some things that I really found helpful in being able to get from where I was to where I am now. So I think also it's really important to recognize that it is a journey. Like, it's not going to happen overnight, and I think you probably can even realize that a lot of the time the not loving ourselves has gone on for a long time, so it does take time to unlearn those feelings and thoughts we have towards ourselves to be able to actually come to a place of first accepting ourselves and then being able to build on that and actually feel good and start loving ourselves. So yeah, I hope you find this really helpful, and yeah, we'll get right into it. So the first tip I have is to really understand why you currently don't love yourself. So to be able to move forward from and grow and starting to accept ourselves and love ourselves, we really need to understand why we feel like we can't in the first place, or we aren't loving ourselves or caring for ourselves at the moment. So it's important to be able to really understand why this is, to be able to make changes and start shifting towards the direction we want to be shifting towards, which is obviously the acceptance and then the loving ourselves. So to be able to really understand the reason that we don't love ourselves, it's important to ask ourselves questions pretty much like why, ask ourselves really, why do we feel like we can't love ourselves? Why do we not love ourselves? Like, oftentimes we will go and not even really think about these things. And I think it's really powerful to even just sit down with a pen and paper and really ask yourselves and kind of get deep. Maybe get a bit sad, because it probably will be an emotional thing to kind of go through and understand why we're not feeling that love for ourselves that we can kind of give to other people, or, you know, that kind of acceptance we can give to other people. So really getting curious about what's going on, why you're feeling the way you feel about yourself, and where it's coming from. The second tip I want to share is to just think small changes. Small steps towards change. So really, like I said in the beginning, around starting off with aiming towards accepting ourselves and moving from that place towards loving ourselves. So obviously, also, like I said, we've kind of felt a certain way about ourselves and thought a certain way about ourselves for a lot of our life, most of the time. So it's really important to take the steps slowly and really be graceful, give ourselves grace and understanding towards the process, that it will take time, and it is a process, it is a journey, it's not going to be perfect. So really just understanding that and being kind to ourselves about that. So another thing I wanted to say, it's really important to just really understand the beliefs that are really holding us in the place that we are. So what, obviously, like in the first step, really that understanding side of it, and really recognizing where the beliefs and the thoughts are coming from is really important to be able to make these changes and start making these small steps and progressing the way we want to be progressing. The next tip I have is kind of something that may seem obvious and it is easier said than done often, but it's all about practicing this as well. So it is accepting that the past is the past. So being able to realize that the things that happened in the past we can't change. Like, we know this, but like reminding ourselves that the past really is the past, and we can only change the now. Like, we can't even do anything in the future. We only have the now that we can actually make changes and start doing things differently. So it's important to recognize and accept and forgive our mistakes in the past to be able to move us forward and start taking the steps we want to be taking now. So really not letting our past kind of hold us down or keep us feeling a certain way about ourselves. Choosing to forgive, and maybe not forget, but like just forgive ourselves and move forward from that place is really important. So also I wanted to say that with mistakes in mind, like recognizing that mistakes and failures are all a part of the journey of learning. Like, we wouldn't be who we are today if we hadn't made certain mistakes or gone through certain experiences, as horrible as they may have been or as painful as they may have been. We wouldn't be where we are right now if we didn't have those experiences. And you may not be in a place yet to be able to appreciate or feel any sort of good because of that, but there will come a point, especially if you work through these kind of thoughts and these feelings and really start realizing how powerful you are in your own life and how much good you have to bring. It can be really powerful, and in recognizing how you can use your past mistakes and failures or situations for the better, and to really feel good in life and in yourself, and really being able to find that love for yourself or that acceptance in the first place for yourself. So that is tip number 3. So once you're at a place where you've kind of gathered more of an awareness around your thoughts and beliefs that have been holding you back, or like holding you in a place where you don't accept or love yourself, by being aware of these thoughts and beliefs that had been holding us back, we give ourselves the power to start changing them, and shifting the way we are thinking about ourselves and certain situations that make us feel a certain way. So in terms of what this may look like for you, this may look like really having picked up certain thoughts, becoming more aware of how they're impacting you on a day-to-day life, and being able to look at those thoughts from a different perspective and start changing the way that you're thinking about a situation, or that you're saying a certain thing, especially about yourself. So, for example, if you're saying something unkind about yourself because you reacted a certain way that you didn't want to react, so instead of letting cycles like that continue, really breaking them and asking yourselves, what could I be thinking in this situation that would be more helpful than the current thought I'm having? What thought will lead me to believing the beliefs I want to believe about myself, so that I can feel good and feel accepted and loved by myself, and want to keep going with pursuing all my passions in life, and really just making the most out of life. So yeah, that was a really long way of asking the question, but just really not letting things stay as they are, not letting the cycles continue, not letting those thought and belief patterns continue to stay the same. Really being the person that being the one that's going to make those shifts for yourself is really important, and not just expecting them to change over time or through experiences, which obviously they can, but not waiting for that to happen. So rather than waiting for something to happen that will make you have to snap out of it or make certain thought shifts in your mind, really taking the reins and taking control of your life and your own thoughts and thinking around situations, so that you can feel good and start accepting and loving yourself. And obviously it is really important to be using these sorts of changes in mindset as a way of pursuing things like your passions and stuff, because by doing this we are showing ourselves love and kindness, and that's what we want to do more of, to be able to kind of feed into those positive thoughts about ourselves, and vice versa, the thoughts feeding into us wanting to take care of ourselves and follow our passions and dreams, rather than sit on the sidelines and not want to do things because we feel not happy about ourselves. So that is tip number 4. So tip number 5 is really getting clear on why it's important for you to start loving yourself, or why you want to start loving yourself. So being able to understand a reason for doing something is really powerful, and allowing us to keep pushing forward when we don't want to keep pushing forward. So whether that your reason for wanting to love yourself is so that you can get past the constant feelings of shame and guilt, or not feeling good enough, those sorts of feelings, or if it's because you want to be a good role model for your kids because you want them to be able to love themselves, accept themselves, and not feel the way that you felt growing up or feel in your adult life. So it's really important to understand why you're wanting to do this, because when you're not wanting to deal with those thoughts or to shift your thoughts, you want to kind of just go back to old habits because that's what's easy. You can kind of remind yourself of why it was important for you to start in the first place, and this can kind of keep pushing you on the right path and keep pushing you forward and giving you that kind of motivation you need to keep going. So that is all the tips I have for today around really just loving yourself, and obviously first being able to accept yourself. So yeah, obviously there's a lot of different parts to being able to love yourself, but I think the most important part is really becoming aware of how much of an impact your thoughts and the way you're acting have on the way you feel about yourself. So really just becoming aware of this in the first place is a great step for most people to really be able to make changes. So yeah, I really hope you found this helpful and are able to implement some of this stuff and benefit from it, because it is a place, not accepting yourself or loving yourself is not a great place to be in, and it is hard to kind of understand how we could get out of this if we don't know how. Like, it is not something that's really taught a lot. Like, we don't get taught that in school, you know. So I really hope that you have found this helpful, and yeah, let me know in the comments if there's any one of the tips you liked in particular that really made you think. And yeah, I'll see you next week.